This was my father-in-law's guitar, and he purchased it from his brother, who was a professional musician. I just know it's a 1938 Martin, and he played it all the time. He really enjoyed it. He didn't really play much professionally. He tried to do that. I think in the 30s, there's a picture someplace of him with George Goebel.
This is the Martin D18, one of the most coveted acoustic guitars in history. Legends like Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, Bob Dylan, and Kurt Cobain all chose this model. What makes it so special? Simple construction paired with exceptional tone. The mahogany back and sides deliver rich, warm acoustics, perfect for recording, while the Adirondack spruce top provides incredible resonance. Inside, there's a C.F. Martin stamp from Nazareth, Pennsylvania, and a serial number dating this to late 1938. That year was pivotal. Martin introduced advanced X-bracing, where the internal supports cross near the sound hole. This innovation dramatically improved tone, and it makes these guitars highly valuable. Best of all, this one's in remarkable condition. Never heavily played, never modified. It's remained original all these years, which is exactly what collectors look for.
You've had some correspondence with the Martin company to find out about the model number. But what you didn't find out was what it's actually worth. Do you have an idea of that?
No, well, the letter said the new ones in the 60s were worth about $1,000, so we thought, well, maybe with inflation in about $5,000.
Because in today's market, the replacement value of this guitar with the advanced bracing would be about $28,000 to $30,000.
Wow. He would be so proud. It's such an honor for him. It really is. He was such a great guy.
Around 10 years old, my father bought it in 1953, and I've had that ever since. It's what I learned how to play. I guess I was around 13 or 14 when I started actually making some money at it. Went on from there. I was on the road for a few years with a few bands. Now I'm here.
This is a John D'Angelico archtop jazz guitar. He's widely considered the greatest archtop guitar maker of all time. D'Angelico was born in New York City in 1905. At just 9 years old, he apprenticed with his uncle, learning violins, mandolins, and guitars. When his uncle passed away, he took over the workshop. Jazz legends like Chet Atkins, Bucky Pizzarelli, Johnny Smith, and Kenny Burrell all played his instruments. This instrument was made in 1953, right in the middle of his best period. This guitar was purchased in October 1953 for $325. Every D'Angelico guitar was essentially a custom build. This particular one features a medium neck, custom dark finish, and originally came with a pickup. He used only premium materials and construction techniques. Today, these guitars command serious money.
Your initial $325 investment today at a vintage guitar shop would sell in the range of $30,000 to $35,000 at retail.
Yeah.
Would you mind playing it a little bit for me to... Very nice.
This was given to my father for his 11th birthday in October of 1962. I know that it's a left-handed Fender Stratocaster. I know that it was special ordered, however, not by my grandfather who bought it for him, by somebody else who didn't have the money to pay for it. And so it was available just sort of on a fluke, and that's about all I know.
This is a 1962 Fender Stratocaster, one of the most iconic electric guitars ever made. The Ventures, the Beach Boys, every major rock band wanted one. Now, what makes this particular guitar special? It's left-handed. That was extremely rare in 1962. Most players were right-handed, so hardly anyone ordered lefty models. Legends like Jimi Hendrix and Kurt Cobain later made left-handed Strats iconic. Here's another detail collectors love: the slab fingerboard. Fender only used this design for part of 1962 before switching to a different style. You can see it right here on the neck. The serial number confirms this was made in 1962. The sales brochure from that year shows the Stratocaster priced at $289. These guitars are highly sought after today. A vintage Stratocaster like Rory Gallagher's 1961 model recently sold for over $1.16 million at auction.
We believe that in this preservation, you have the original case and everything. We put a value at retail of $48,000 on it.
Are you serious? Oh
I'm
my.
as excited as you are. It's a great guitar.
My dad is going to be very surprised.
I've had this for about 32 years. I used to work for a gentleman that had commercial real estate, clean out whatever was left of the commercial real estate. And at the very back of this office was this canvas case that was moldy and mildewy, and just literally tossed it away from the dumpster pile. And then later went back and saw that it was this little guitar, and I thought, oh, nice, a kid's guitar. I brought it home, and so I just kept it.
I think this might be my first dumpster dive guitar.
That's right.
This is an 1899 CF Martin guitar, model 121. Martin has been making guitars in Nazareth, Pennsylvania since 1833, one of the oldest guitar makers in America. How do we know it's from 1899? There's a serial number stamped inside. Martin only started serializing their guitars in 1898, so this is literally from the second year they did that. Pretty remarkable. Now, you might think this looks like a kid's guitar because it's so small, but back in the late 1800s, this was a standard adult parlor guitar. It's about 12.5 inches across the body. Modern guitars, they can be 17 inches or more. Guitars just got bigger over time. Flip it over. Look at that back. Brazilian rosewood. Martin used this wood until 1969 when it became restricted. Players today consider it the finest tone wood you can get for a guitar. This guitar has survived 125 years with all its original parts intact. The fact that it's still playable after being tossed aside in a commercial building, that's a testament to Martin's craftsmanship.
You've never had it appraised?
No. I looked on the internet to try to find information about it. I couldn't see anything that was like.
I think this guitar in a retail environment would sell between $4,000 and $5,000.
You're kidding.
Not at all.
For something I saved from the dumpster pile.
Well,
this guitar was purchased by my father, I believe, in the year 1962. My dad was a Marine, and when he got out of the Marines, married my mom and decided he wanted to learn how to play guitar. It's the woman who was selling it, and she said, well, I bought it for my son and he doesn't play it. And he asked her, how much do you want for it? And she said, well, $300 for the amplifier. The guitar comes with a case. And he thought that was a good enough bargain back in 1962.
This is a Gibson ES-355. It was introduced in 1958 as the top of Gibson's semi-hollow line. Legends like B.B. King, Chuck Berry, Eric Clapton, and Freddie King all made this guitar famous. This particular one is mono. Most ES-355s came with stereo wiring and a baritone switch, but mono models are actually more desirable to collectors. Now here's where it gets interesting. The pickups are PAFs, patent applied for humbuckers. In 1959 and 1960, Gibson accidentally received white bobbins instead of the usual black ones. If these pickups have double white coils underneath those covers, they could add $6,000 to $10,000 to the value. The guitar still has its original case and even the original hang tag, which is incredibly rare. All that history, all that original equipment, it's what collectors call the juju. Recently, Alex Lifeson's white Gibson ES-355 sold at auction for $384,000, was showing just how valuable these instruments have become.
Do you want to know what probably market value is on this at this current time?
Sure.
It's roughly around $45,000.
That's crazy. My dad would be so proud to know that.
If these are not double white PAFs.
Well, I traded a 1939 Chevrolet for it in 1971. And the guy I traded off of said he bought it in California when it was new, I'm assuming. He played country and western music. I've always played rock and roll and country and western with it.
So do you remember what was the value of the car you traded for this?
About $600 to $800, what it was worth.
But that was quite a while ago.
This is a 1964 Gibson ES-335, one of the most iconic guitars ever made. The body is maple with a rosewood fingerboard and beautiful binding all the way around both sides. But what makes the ES-335 truly revolutionary is its construction. Gibson created a hybrid, a solid maple center block running through a hollow body. The ES-335 first appeared in 1958. Early models had PAF pickups, but in 1962, Gibson switched to the patent number humbuckers you see here. This guitar became a legend in the hands of rock and blues masters: Chuck Berry's Duck Walk, B.B. King's Lucille. These guitars came in different finishes. This is the classic Sunburst. Eric Clapton's famous guitar was Cherry Red. That 1964 ES-335 sold at auction for over $800,000. The ES-335 remains one of the most versatile and sought-after guitars ever built.
But this guitar is just so iconic, so classic. Do you have any idea what the value of this would be today?
Well, I was offered $1,500 for it in 1992.
Well, today this guitar at a retail price would be $12,000 to $12,500. So that was a pretty good deal for trading a
Yeah, that old car's long gone.
That car's long gone, yeah. Everyone wants, it was coined as one of the best guitars because you could use it for just about any type of music.
Well, this was my brother's guitar. My brother took part in local community theater, and he would also perform in a band sometimes. And he's also a guitar collector, so he passed away about 10 years ago. And I was lucky enough to get this one.
This is a 1976 Gibson Explorer Limited Edition, one of the most iconic guitar shapes ever designed, though this isn't an original. Let me explain. The original Explorer debuted in 1958, made from African limbo wood called Carina. The futuristic design was too radical for the 50s. Players weren't ready for it. Gibson only managed to ship about 19 Explorers in 1958 before discontinuing the model by 1963. Nearly 2 decades later, Gibson brought it back. This 1976 reissue was built with mahogany instead of Carina and featured gold-plated hardware. Around 1,800 were produced as a limited edition. Original 1958 Carina Explorers, they're worth $500,000 or more now.
So retail is probably in the $3,000 to $4,000-ish range.
Okay, it sounds good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and I suspect it'll go up from there.
Yeah, that's good to know.
This was my father's guitar. My great-grandmother purchased this item for him when he was in high school. He was a guitar player, and it's been the family ever since. I used to play it when I was a child, and my great-grandmother purchased this sometime around 1930 to 31, somewhere around in there.
Well, the serial number tells us that she bought it new, and evidently it was new when she got it.
Yes.
This is a 1932 National Tricone resonator guitar. Back then, this wasn't a cheap instrument. It was a premium piece that cost over $100 during the Great Depression. The body is brass, nickel-plated to a mirror shine. South American mahogany neck, ebony fingerboard. But what makes this guitar revolutionary is what's inside. 3 aluminum resonator cones designed to amplify the sound mechanically, no electricity needed. This is called a tricone system. The 3 cones are joined by a T-shaped aluminum bar that supports the bridge. The resonator made them about 4 times louder than a conventional wooden guitar. Here's an interesting detail. The term Hawaiian steel doesn't refer to the metal body. It refers to the steel bar used to play it. Most of these guitars were designed for Hawaiian-style lap playing with a slide bar. This guitar shows honest wear, but remains in excellent structural condition. No dents, no loose seams. A true piece of American musical history.
A guitar like this has a fair amount of what we call honest wear, but none of the edges have been dented or the seams are loose or anything like that. So the retail value in a specialty guitar shop would probably be $5,500.
We're not going to sell it.
Well, I wouldn't if it was if it had that kind of history, and for good reason.
It was actually my grandmother's guitar. She bought it from her brother right before he left for World War II, with the intentions of selling it back to him when he arrived back home, but a few things changed. She kept the guitar, passed it down to my father, and my father recently passed it to me.
At some point in time, somebody played this guitar a lot. Do you know who did that?
It's probably a combination of my grandmother and my father.
Well, there's a good reason that they played it, because this is a great guitar.
This guitar is actually a Martin, and its serial number tells us something pretty special. It was made all the way back in 1937. That places it right in what many musicians call the golden era of guitar making. During that time, the Martin Guitar Company, based in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, where they still operate today, was producing some of the finest instruments ever built. And guitars from that period are almost always beautifully crafted and known for their incredible sound. The top of this guitar is made from Adirondack spruce, which Martin used before switching over to Sitka spruce in later years. That little detail makes this one even more interesting. The fingerboard and bridge are both ebony, while the back, sides, and neck are made of mahogany, classic materials that give these old Martins their warm, rich tone. Now, there is one thing that affects the value. At some point, someone refinished or maybe overfinished the top. Still, the guitar itself is in good shape. The neck is beautiful, and most of the tuners are original, except for one replacement from around the mid-1940s.
I think in the retail environment, this guitar would sell for somewhere between $15,000 and $18,000.
Wow, nice.
If this guitar had nothing done to it, it would be worth approximately $35,000.
My husband was in World War II, and this guitar was given to him by Special Services. Then after that, in the late 60s, he started having all of these different stars to put their autographs on.
This guitar was made by the K Company of Chicago, Illinois, and it dates to around the mid-1940s. K Company was known for producing a wide range of guitars, from affordable beginner models to beautifully crafted archtops like this one. And in the 1940s, their archtop guitars were some of the most popular instruments used in swing, country, and early rock and roll. Most people assumed that the tooled leather covering would completely mute the sound, but honestly, it still plays surprisingly well. But the real magic of this instrument isn't just in how it sounds. The biggest surprise is the collection of celebrity autographs covering it. So let's take a moment to look at some of them. On the back of the guitar, you can see signatures from Mel Tillis, Hank Thompson, Connie Smith, and Red Foley, one of the very first autographs added to it. And when you turn the guitar to the side, the names get even more familiar. There's Loretta Lynn and even Dolly Parton. With all these legendary signatures, this isn't just a guitar anymore. It's a piece of country music history.
The guitar itself, without the tooled leather and the autographs, a K guitar of this vintage is probably about a $300 to $350 instrument. But with the added leather work and the autographs, I would put it more in the range of a collectible worth about $1,000.
I understand.
It was in the early 80s. I was going through Tulsa, and it was about the same time that Boatwright was killed in Los Angeles. And I felt like I just had to have this guitar, and I traded a beautiful Gibson Birdland for it. Had a couple things on it that had broken, like the pick guard and like the head thing, and so I replaced those to the best of my ability.
It's great that you saved this and you've saved this.
This guitar is a Mosrite, a rare handmade prototype created by two friends who built instruments with pure passion. Sammy Mosley and Ray Boatwright were close friends. Sammy was a young, talented guitar builder, and Ray was a pastor who even ministered for me. When they decided to create their own instruments, they blended their names together and called their work Mosrite. But this particular guitar is unlike any standard Mosrite model. The first thing you notice is the back. It isn't wood at all. It's a metal backplate screwed directly onto the body. A guitar like this isn't just a musical instrument. It's a piece of handmade California history, built by two friends, carved by hand, and signed by its creator.
Trying to put a value on a guitar like this, if you were just going to sell it to a dealer or a Mosrite aficionado, retail $15,000, maybe more. But It's so unique that if it were in a different environment, who knows? And that's why I love seeing it.
I bought it in 1960, 61, and it happens to be a 57. And I've really enjoyed playing it. I've
Do you
taken
still play
lessons.
it?
Yes.
Okay. How much did you pay for it back in 1961?
I paid, as much as I can recall, about $300.
This guitar isn't just any Stratocaster. It's a 1957 Fender Strat, one of the most sought-after years in Stratocaster history. What makes a 1957 Strat so special? Well, this was the era when Fender perfected that classic Golden Age Strat design. The body has that beautiful blonde lacquer finish, thin enough that you can actually see the wood grain underneath. That transparency is a giveaway. Olympic white didn't exist until 1958, so this finish tells us we're looking at a true 1957 blonde Strat. 1957 was famous for its soft V-shaped maple neck, and this one has that smooth, played-in feel that guitarists love. Maple neck, maple fingerboard, black dot inlays, all exactly as Fender made them in the late 50s. This guitar still comes with its original tweed case with the red plush lining, which collectors absolutely go crazy over. What makes this guitar truly fascinating is that it hasn't been restored, refinished, or modified. It's basically a time capsule from 1957 in remarkable condition considering it's been played and enjoyed for decades.
It might surprise you to know that these models in the last year or so have really skyrocketed. All solid body Fender and Gibson guitars have gone a little bit crazy.
Is that right?
So I would say this one in this condition, which is I'd say about a 8.5 of 10 scale, in a retail situation, this outfit with the case and the strap and the amplifier and the guitar being this original, $50,000 to $60,000.
Oh, my word. Takes my breath.
Woohoo!
To my father-in-law, from what we know, he picked it up at a used guitar shop in Joplin, Missouri for just a few $100. He played it for a long time, and then I think he just put it up, and then in 2011, it went through the Joplin tornado. His house was completely annihilated, but the guitar was still in the case.
Did the case get wet?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
This is a 1955 Gibson J-160E, one of Gibson's first successful acoustic electric guitars. The serial number confirms it was made in 1955, only the second year of production. Here's what makes this guitar special. It's an acoustic guitar that was designed from the ground up to be electric. Gibson introduced it in 1954, and for those first 2 years, 1954 and 1955, they built the top from solid spruce. After 1955, they switched to laminated plywood.
The average retail on something like this would be around $6,000 or $8,000, and it could be as high as 12 retail, but it's a very rare survivor, and I thank you so much for bringing it in.
Well, thank you. My husband's going to be thrilled.